Hey everyone, Brandon Lewis here. It is Friday, baby. It is Friday, and I'm excited to be here with you at the Tennessee Conservative News Update, where we try to bring you the state and local news that matters to you. And we throw in a little national flavor. Of course, if you would like to get more news headlines, you can do that by going to TennesseeConservativeNews.com, where we have a lot more commentary than what I'll share with you today. If you're out there and if you're watching, let us know. Give us a shout out in the comments section and tell us what you think. Again, please to go to TennesseeConservativeNews.com and sign up for our e-newsletter, where we will send you all of this in an easy to peruse fashion where you don't have to look at this ugly mug if you don't want to. And we can just get right into it. And of course, we do run on support donation from people like you. Last night, we sent out an email about our Proud Tennessee Conservative mug, which you can get for a donation of $50 or more. And it helps us keep the lights on over here. And we really appreciate so many of you who have given to get one of these puppies. And if you give any amount, we send you these Proud Tennessee Conservative bumper stickers, and we give you a directory of all of your state and local officials so that you can reach out to them when shenanigans like this are happening. So if you tuned out, tune back in. We've got a little bit of an alert here. Senate committee rolls religious exemption bill 1 week. The Tennessee Senate continues to delay, and they will continue to delay, the Religious Exemption Protection Act, allowing action to be deferred during Thursday's Senate Health and Welfare Committee meeting. This is all being driven by the hospital and the medical lobby. There are a lot of people on the Senate committee that either make their living working for or with hospitals and medical community people, or have taken lots of money from them over the years. This could be medical association PACs, these could be hospital PACs, these could be anesthesiologist PACs, you name it. Anybody who makes money in and around the medical complex in Tennessee, and they make money off vaccinating people. And in many cases, in employment situations and in educational situations or first responder situations, forced vaccination. And it's going to get into somebody's pocketbook. And even though the districts of most of these representatives don't like them, and primary voters certainly would not like this, um, once you get addicted to that money, once you get addicted to that PAC money, and once you get addicted to those kickbacks, it's really hard to vote with your district sometimes. And many of these people are struggling to vote with their district. There's lots of conflicts. SB 187 prohibits state and local authorities from forcing individuals to be vaccinated for COVID 19 if the individuals do not wish to do so. It also removes limitations to a person's ability to object on religious grounds. Listen, in the comments section here, there are phone numbers. Call these people. You've got another week. Uh, I know that Gary over at Tennessee Stand says that thousands of you have been calling these representatives, telling them, hey, I want you to do the will of the people, not the will of the PACs, not the will of the moneyed hospitals, not the will of these medical organizations that you've taken money from or that you're employed by, but rather the will of the district. Religious exemptions aren't for in some case where you think that my rights don't matter because I want to be employed somewhere or because there's some kind of pandemic. Your religious liberties don't disappear, Governor Lee. Your religious liberties don't disappear, Tennessee senators and Tennessee representatives, because you think that there's a safety concern. Okay, your job is to protect liberty and rights. I don't need you to protect my safety. I'll look after Brandon's safety just fine. You look after my liberties, and I'll look after my safety and my health. The bill's sponsor, thank goodness, I'm going to call her for Senator St. Janice Bowling. It is a shame that we have to constantly go to a handful of senators in the Tennessee Senate to get conservative bills passed. There's only a few of them that'll carry the football. The rest of them are out there, grazing in the rhino patches. And they have to continually give these bills that people in the district want and that the grassroots primary voters want to people like Janice, who have a backbone, who have more conservative courage than most men. up there on the Hill. So Senator Janice Bowling from Tullahoma, you send her an email. Call her and say, thank you, Janice, for carrying this. Stated several times that the goal of the bill was to assuage fear. And you know what? People are, oh, I can't believe you're fearful. Well, why the hell wouldn't we be fearful? You shut down our schools, you shut down our churches, you pick winners and losers in business, and now you're passing all this legislation to try to mitigate and cover up the mess you made as you sat on your hands while Tennessee's liberties got ran over roughshod by Bill Lee and a handful of mayors and health boards, and you're wondering why grassroots primary voters are worried and concerned and we don't trust you is because you're not trustworthy. If you're trustworthy, we wouldn't have concerns and fears that people had about being forced to take vaccines and a clawback lost constitutional integrity. Committee members heard from Joe Burchett of Tennessee Hospital Association. The Tennessee Hospital Association is that is one of the key players that is killing all of this medical freedom. The Tennessee Hospital Association. Let me ask you this: when you go get a bill from the Tennessee Hospital, if you visited a Tennessee hospital, have you had some kind of surgery, have you had some kind of emergency situation, you go to a Tennessee hospital, what's that experience like? What's that experience like? What's your medical billing experience like? They try to get more money out of you than what you should pay. Do they charge you $10,000 for an aspirin? Maybe. And this is the kind of crap that grassroots conservatives like you have to watch out for. So Joe Birchfield of the Tennessee Hospital Association addressed a portion of the bill that states that government entities cannot require that individuals be vaccinated. His concerns stem from the fact that some hospitals in the state are government-run facilities, and there could be a situation where they need to force vaccinations on people against their will for certain employees to work in particular areas, such as NICU or CCU. Senator Joe Hensley asked if those state-owned facilities honor the religious exemption for employees who did not want to get their mandatory shot, such as the flu shot. And Birchfield acknowledged that they don't give a freaking flying you-know-what about your religious objections over there at the Tennessee Hospital Association. That's my editorializing, but they didn't care. You know, they don't comply with the federal legislation regarding religious exemptions. Birchfield then specifically requested that the language of the bill be altered to do whatever the hell they wanted to, probably. Say that the state-owned hospitals and mental health facilities would be excluded from the definitions of government entities. So great, we can win some points with everybody else. But those of you who are nurses, first responders, people that work, maybe even folks that are cleaning up, doing janitorial work. No, we're going to force this on you. We're going to force it. We're going to force to inject something into your body that you have a religious objection against. Why? Because we're the Tennessee Hospital Association, baby. Following Birchfield's appeal, Senator Bo Watson made a motion that the bill be pushed forward a week. Now, this is the same thing that happened the last time with a similar bill in the House when Robin Smith and a bunch of those people who also received lots of medical money want to delay it, want to push it forward a week so they can, rally their forces to kill medical freedom. I don't know if that's what's happening here, but we've seen a similar playbook. So after, you see things once or twice, you start looking for a pattern. The motion was seconded by Senator Ed Jackson. This allows time for more people to reach out to the committee to express support for the bill. You need to do this, guys. Contact information. In the comments section here, if you can see their information in the comments section, if you just post and let me know, it's right underneath there. You click on the video. I think it's in the description, and it'll pop right up. I'll even go ahead right now and copy and paste these just for those of you can see the contact information of these folks that you might want to reach out to. I know you've already done it once, many of you, and I appreciate you, and you may have to do it again. Sometimes these folks just don't quite pick up the first time. So that's how that goes. So I'm going to put this right here in the comments section. Bam, it is done. So y'all take a look at that. So do call them, do email them. I mean, this is all stuff you have complete control over. Moving on to the next story. We got to get some of these. So we got to cover stories sometimes a couple of times so we can get the ball across the finish line. Conservative Representative Tennessee Griffey, stripped of committee assignments by Speaker House Sexton, Yesterday, March 25th, Representative Bruce Griffey from Paris, Tennessee, was stripped of all his committee assignments by House Speaker Cameron Sexton from Crossville, Tennessee. Sexton removed Griffey from the Civil Justice, Criminal Justice, and Educational Instruction Committees. Sexton's statement was not specific about the reasoning for Griffey's removal, but said, I mean, why not, Sexton? Why not give people a specific reason for the removal of somebody who represents tens of thousands of Tennesseans? I would think that would warrant a specific, I mean, if you're going to take somebody off all these committees, you should probably let people know why you're doing it. There's a certain expectation that must be met by members of the House of Representatives. These include maintaining decorum and professionalism, as well as respect for others, perhaps most importantly, respect for our long-standing committee process. Okay, how so? I mean, how so? I love it when these press statements come out of the caucus that are nonsense. And we're not nonsense. They're just like, well, what does that mean? I mean, if you gave it to a fourth grader and you said, what did this gentleman do to get kicked off all these committees? A fourth grader could not read this and tell you. A portion of Griffey's statement said, Cameron Sexton has not had any communication with me about the removal or the reasons behind it. I can only surmise it is punishment for me bringing the Rule 53 motion so all members of the House could vote on whether or not we want to expand the use of E-Verify in Tennessee in order to protect Tennesseans from being stripped of jobs in favor of illegals, to keep the wages of working Tennesseans from being suppressed by the illegal labor, particularly with the border crisis looming. Griffey went on to speculate about other possible reasons for his removal, including his vocal opposition to Governor Lee's soft on crime legislation and for supporting transparency in government. For the full statement, go on our website. You can read that. I tell you what, there is a huge illegal labor lobby in Tennessee. And a lot of times the chambers of commerce are wound up in that stuff because large employers want cheap labor. They want cheap labor for all kinds of reasons. And it's not just for construction and things of that nature. Sometimes it's for farming out tech jobs or whatever it is. And you got to keep an eye on this. Next story. Bill granting Tennessee schools sole authority to close schools headed to Governor Lee. Senate Bill 103 was approved by the House on Thursday with a vote of 85-2 and is now on its way to Governor Lee for final approval. The bill makes it clear local school boards can close public or charter schools in the state, not the governor, good, through executive orders or local health departments. I'd be curious what this means for private schools, if anything. The bill allows the governor to issue an executive order to open schools to in-person learning, but the governor cannot close schools. I think it's probably a step in the right direction unless you've got an awful school board. The power will become completely local. The bill, sponsored in the House by Representative Kevin Vahan of Collierville, aimed to clarify who had the authority because during COVID-19 pandemic, it was unclear in many locales whether the county health department or local school board had the authority. The county health department shouldn't have authority over much. The county health department has a reputation for services that are so unbelievably poor and crappy that in most cases, unless you're economically destitute, you don't go to the county health department for services, do you? Nobody's like, man, I'd love to go down to the good old high service, great professionalism, wonderful experts for my health at the county health department. No, just like you don't go to the DMV to take customer service lessons. These are people that have a very limited scope of work that they need to be focused on, and telling me what needs to happen with my child's education or that's not one of them. And I'm glad they're at least taking it out of their hands. So Vaughn said that he believed the bill would clarify an issue of authority on school closures, which includes areas with independent health boards. Senator Brian Kelsey, Republican from Germantown, said he also believed it was important to those making the decision are publicly accountable. And I agree. You shut down the schools, you should lose your school board seat. Next story. Senate passes bills to level playing field, level playing field for small business. Too little, too late. Too little, too late. But here we go. Better than nothing, I guess. That should be the new slogan for Tennessee government in 2020 and 2021. Better than nothing. The Tennessee state voted unanimously Thursday to approve a bill aimed at evening the playing field between small and large businesses during required closures such as those surrounding the COVID-19 pandemic. The Business Fairness Act would allow a business, regardless of its size, to remain open during health emergencies as long as it follows government-issued safety precautions and guidelines. Well, that's great, guys. After y'all have bankrupted hundreds of small businesses, thousands of small businesses all over Tennessee, y'all could have had this This little brainchild, y'all could have had this, oh, maybe say 3 months into the damn pandemic instead of hiding behind Bill Lee's skirt and clutching your pearls. Would probably been a good idea. The Senate voted 28-0 to approve the measure, which would apply in cases of a pandemic, bioterrorism, or an epidemic, according to sponsor Bill Powers, Representative Clarksville. The House companion bill is scheduled to be discussed on a vote Monday in the Tennessee House. I'm glad all this stuff's happening. Don't get me wrong, but I'm like, good grief. What, could we not have called an emergency session when you see people hurting and their business is closing? Do we have to wait like 13, 14 months to do this stuff? I mean, anybody could have seen this. I mean, I saw it back in March, protesting on the bridge. I put my money where my mouth was in a very public way that we need to open businesses back up. Anybody could have seen this nationally. Biden sets new vaccine target, faces question on border crisis and Senate filibuster. Biden on Thursday set a new target of 200 million Americans being vaccinated by the end of April, while also facing questions about the southern U.S. border crisis and potential to end filibusters with the U.S. Senate. Biden said adults who have crossed the U.S. illegally should be sent back to their home countries. What a load of crap. He doesn't care if they get sent back. He wants them to get in here. But he didn't answer a direct question about whether the thousands of children who are entered illegally since January would be sent home. They should all be going back, should, the president said, of adults who have been detained at the border, adding Mexico hasn't accepted many of them. Well, they were accepting them just a few months ago. What happened? I mean, I think we could probably get that deal put back in place pretty quickly. In an attempt to downplay the crisis, Biden said there is a surge of illegal border crossings during the months when it's cooler in Mexico and Central America and blamed his predecessor, President Trump, for dismantling the system in place meant to deal with large inflows of illegal immigrants. Yeah, he dismantled that and left you, poor old Joe. You would have stopped him if Trump hadn't done this to you. Biden said the filibuster is being used in a gigantic way, adding that he would support efforts to make its use more difficult and suggested that ending it might become necessary. These guys don't care about anything but power. In sad news, we're going to close with this. Former Senator Bill Brock of Chattanooga passed away on Thursday. The former Tennessee Senator, Chattanooga native Bill Brock, passed away on Thursday at 90 years old. In 2019, the Tennessee Republican Party honored him with the Howard Baker Award for years of dedication and commitment to the Tennessee Republican Party. Brock helped rebuild the GOP. After being elected the chair of the Republican National Committee, Brock spent 4 terms as House member and 1 term as state senator in Tennessee. Brock also spent time serving as a U.S. trade representative and Labor Department secretary during Ronald Reagan's presidency. You know, I think I liked Tennessee Republicans better when they were fighting the Democrats and they had to stand on principle. And I'm sure that people like Bill Brock, if they took a look at the opportunities that our party is squandering right now, wouldn't be happy. So our hearts and our prayers go out to that family. It is tough to lose a patriarch or a matriarch in a family, and so they hope that the Brock family is being dealt with as only the Holy Spirit can, and bringing them comfort in this time. And those are your headlines for TennesseeConservativeNews.com. If you would go there and subscribe to our email newsletter, if you'd like to support us, we will send you 2 Proud Tennessee Conservative bumper stickers. And if you give $50 or more to help us get the news out there and pay our poor reporters who are working tirelessly to get these stories to you, we will send you a Proud Tennessee Conservative mug. And the contents, if you put anything in here, if you put cheap wine in here, it comes out high dollar wine. If you like to drink, you put, Coors Light in here, it comes out Sweetwater IPA. I mean, it is it's a handy dandy little tool to use for beverages. It keeps your coffee hot for no less than 7 weeks. So I think you're going to enjoy that mug if you get it. Brandon Lewis here with Tennessee Conservative News, guys. We need your help. And do spread our stories across the internet. Share our stories with your friends. and let us know how we're doing over here. And we'll see you on Monday with the Tennessee Conservative News Break. I will be high in the mountains of Blue Ridge, Georgia, in an undisclosed location. But should there be internet connection, I'll be coming to you with the Tennessee Conservative News Break. Take care, guys. I'll see you next week.